I want to talk just a moment about the educational component of these constitutional requirements. The current level of educational base aid funding has been reduced to the 2008 levels. We know that there are various ways to calculate how educational funding, there are various ways to calculate how much money is going to public education. In your opinion, is the current level of base aid for public schools adequate? Could you explain your views and specify how you would or would not increase fund the base aid for public schools?
Thank you. Well, I personally do not believe that we have enough dollars that are going into the classroom at this point in time. I know you hear the $12,000 figure that is thrown out there, but I think we all know, if you're familiar with it, that whole education piece and the formula, that a lot of extra monies are put into that, such as the teachers' retirements, etc. So it all sounds well and good that we're spending $12,000 per pupil on a student, but it's actually not true. I, for one, and as we represent Shawnee Mission School District, and I think probably it's one of the school districts that probably has been most hurt by our current formula, because we have a decreasing population rather than an increasing. The way the formula is actually set up, there are incentives for special ed, there are incentives for children on free lunch. In my opinion, the way that it is currently formulated actually, what's the word I'm looking for, makes people want to jury-rig the system. And I'm all for equality in education, and I'm for equalization. But I also am very opposed to us as taxpayers in Johnson County not being able to, if we want to spend more money on schools, not to be allowed to do that. So I have fought for the schools all these years, and I am in hopes that perhaps that we can do something, but I'm not very encouraged about that under the current administration. Thank you.
I think the base state aid, the level of base state aid for public schools is completely inadequate. I think there was litigation, I know there was litigation about that in the mid-2000s, and there were independent studies done that said at that time that the cost of a suitable education in Kansas was $4,400, $4,500 in base state aid per student. The legislature, kicking and screaming after the court order, funded it at that level for a couple of years, and then the bottom dropped out when the financial crisis and the recession hit. They actually had the money in the bank this year to restore every penny of those cuts and at least bring it back to the level of the court case, the court decision, the Montoy decision in 2005 or 6, and instead spent that money on a big income tax cut that I do not think was necessary and that I do not think we should have passed until we paid for the schools. So I think it's completely unacceptable. I also favor lifting the local option budget cap, but funding the states, funding the schools is a state responsibility. It's in our state constitution, and every budget that is passed that does not fund the schools at a suitable level violates the court order, violates the state constitution, and violates the legislature's own statutes. We restored $58 per child this year, per pupil this year, but that's out of 600 or so that has been cut since 2008. I think it's completely unacceptable, and I would fight to restore every penny and then some because of inflation.